മലയാളത്തിന്റെ അഭിമാനമായ മേജർ സന്ദീപ് ഉണ്ണികൃഷ്ണന്റെ ജീവിതം ലോകത്തിന്റെ മുന്നിൽ കൊണ്ടുവരാൻ സാധിച്ചത് എനിക്ക് വളരെയധികം സന്തോഷമുണ്ട്. Uncle said, I believe you will make the movie about my son 10%. Major Sandeep is India's hero, but he's Kerala's son.
2008 മുംബൈ ഭീകരാക്രമണത്തിൽ വീരമൃത്യു വരിച്ച മേജർ സന്ദീപ് ഉണ്ണികൃഷ്ണന്റെ ജീവിതം സിനിമയാകുന്നു. തെലുങ്ക് നടനും സംവിധായകനും തിരക്കഥാകൃത്തുമായ അതിവിശേഷുവാണ് മേജർ സന്ദീപ് ഉണ്ണികൃഷ്ണനായി തിരശ്ശീലയിലെത്തുന്നത്.
നമസ്കാരം, ഞാൻ അഡ്വിശേഷ്, മേജർ മൂവിയുടെ ലീഡ് ആക്ടർ ആൻഡ് റൈറ്റർ. മലയാളത്തിന്റെ അഭിമാനമായ മേജർ സന്ദീപ് ഉണ്ണികൃഷ്ണന്റെ ജീവിതം ലോകത്തിന്റെ മുന്നിൽ കൊണ്ടുവരാൻ സാധിച്ചത് എനിക്ക് വളരെയധികം സന്തോഷമുണ്ട്.
മേജർ എന്ന് പേരിട്ട സിനിമയുടെ ട്രെയിലർ മേജർ സന്ദീപ് ഉണ്ണികൃഷ്ണന്റെ ചരമവാർഷിക ദിനത്തിലാണ് അണിയറ പ്രവർത്തകർ പുറത്തുവിട്ടത്.
I'm here because Major Sandeep Unnikrishnan means a lot to me. When the 26/11 attack happened, I saw his face on the TV. I was in San Francisco, I grew up there. And I wondered, who is this person who looks like he could be my older brother? And like all Indians, I kept looking at him. Later the next year, he won the Ashoka Chakra, and every birthday, one more picture, one more snapshot, one more interview about him used to come out. And I started collecting this information. So you can say, just like Mohanlal sir and Mammootty sir are fans, I am the fan of Major Sandeep Unnikrishnan. Every year when people gave dedications about him, they would talk about how brave he is in his last 36 hours. But nobody realizes how beautiful a life he led for 31 years before those 36 hours. And it used to make me very angry.
സിനിമയ്ക്കായി കരാർ ഒപ്പിട്ടതു മുതൽ മേജറിന്റെ മാതാപിതാക്കളെ കണ്ടതുവരെയുള്ള യാത്രാനുഭവങ്ങളും പങ്കുവച്ചു.
I called uncle in Yelahanka and Bangalore one day. The moment we called and said we want to make a movie, he yelled at us and he put down the phone. We called again, he put down the phone again. Third time we had a girl call. So he was softer with her and he was explaining to her. When I took the phone and I said, uncle, please let me come see you. We want to meet you and Amma and discuss this. So we met them 7 times. The 7th time, after spending all day with them and talking about Major Sandeep, uncle said, I believe you will make the movie about my son 10%.
മേജർ സന്ദീപ് ഉണ്ണികൃഷ്ണനായി അഭിനയിച്ചതിനെ കുറിച്ച് വളരെ വൈകാരികമായാണ് അതിവിശേഷു ശനിയാഴ്ച കൊച്ചിയിൽ നടത്തിയ പത്രസമ്മേളനത്തിൽ സംസാരിച്ചത്.
The building is called Sandeep Bihar. It's named after him. And we decided to get up. I said bye and I walked to the lift. Auntie was standing at the door and then she said, Sandeep lag raha hai. I think the moment she said it to me in Hindi, I think that's when I knew that we had the permission from Uncle and Amma to do this film. So that is why I've brought this film here, because Major Sandeep is India's hero, but he's Kerala's son. So though I don't speak Malayalam, I tried for one day on the set and realized it will take 5 years to make this film. So we decided to dub it. We took great care. We didn't want it to just be a dubbing film. We decided to dub it with authenticity and honesty. And that is why I'm here. Because the film, inspired by the life of Major Sandeep Unnikrishnan, releases the 3rd of June.
മേജറായി അഭിനയിച്ചതിൽ വളരെയധികം അഭിമാനമുണ്ടെന്നും അദ്ദേഹം പറഞ്ഞു. മേജർ സന്ദീപ് ഉണ്ണികൃഷ്ണൻ എങ്ങനെ വീരമൃത്യു വരിച്ചു എന്നല്ല, എങ്ങനെ ജീവിച്ചു എന്നാണ് ചിത്രത്തിലൂടെ പറയാൻ ശ്രമിച്ചിട്ടുള്ളതെന്ന് അതിവിശേഷു വ്യക്തമാക്കി.
Actually, we started the film the end of 2019. So in 2020, just when the shooting, we started shooting, we were like, yes, let's start. The first wave happened. So we waited 6 months. We're like, okay, let's do this again. And we started applying for permissions because it's a very big film. And it's 125 shooting days, 75 locations. We built 8 sets. We built the Taj. We built Gateway of India. Also, a lot of people don't realize that Major Sandeep grew up in the 80s and 90s. So there is 80s Kerala doesn't exist even in Kerala. And 90s Bangalore, over there if you go now you'll see a flyover and hoarding. So we had to recreate everything. So it took a long time to get it perfect and told in a beautiful way.
ഗൂഢാചാരി എന്ന സിനിമയിലൂടെ ശ്രദ്ധേയനായ ശശി കിരൺ ടെക്കെയാണ് സിനിമ സംവിധാനം ചെയ്യുന്നത്. പാൻ ഇന്ത്യ ചിത്രമായി ഒരുങ്ങുന്ന മേജർ അടുത്ത വർഷം റിലീസിനെത്തും.
So we made a 2-hour film that tells some beautiful moments of his life. At the same time, there is a little bit of kalpitam, a little bit of fiction, because you might sometimes take 5 different experiences that happened 5 different years and put them in one scene. When we were deciding to do that, we ultimately realized that it was important to tell something that had the soul of what Major Sandeep felt, the honesty and the heart of what he was feeling. So, in order to do that, we spent countless number of hours with Uncle and Amma. We have so many hundreds of hours of recordings. We met his superior officers, his junior officers. We met the hostages he saved. There was this Telugu man who was saved by him, and he said, when I saw Major Sandeep walk in, I felt like Mahavishnu walked in. So, to me, Major Sandeep is Surya Putra, he's sunshine.
So how often you connected to Malayalam movies?
How familiar am I?
No, how often you enjoy Malayalam movies?
Oh, a lot. I just saw Bhishma Parva, and I actually kind of really liked Mammootty sir's Hindi. Kumbalan Nights is an all-time favorite. I was just saying in a couple of interviews that I wish somebody offered me like Shane Nigam's role, in Telugu cinema, but I have more of an action image. Loved Driving License, discovered that in the lockdown. Ayappanam Question is a top 10 for me. Congrats to Biju Menon sir for winning the Kerala State Award, and I'm really proud that Revati ma'am from our film, not for our film, but from our film, won the Kerala State Award for Best Actress. She's also, by the way, the best performance in this film as well.
അതിവി തന്നെയാണ് ചിത്രത്തിന് തിരക്കഥ എഴുതിയിരിക്കുന്നത്. ശോഭിത ധൂലിപാലിയ, സായി, പ്രകാശ് രാജ്, രേവതി എന്നിവരും ചിത്രത്തിൽ പ്രധാന വേഷത്തിലെത്തുന്നു. സോണി പിക്ചേഴ്സ് ഫിലിം ഇന്ത്യ, യുവനടൻ മഹേഷ് ബാബുവിൻ്റെ ജി മഹേഷ് ബാബു എൻ്റർടൈൻമെൻറ്റ്, A+ മൂവീസ് എന്നിവർ ചേർന്നാണ് മേജർ നിർമ്മിക്കുന്നത്.
Those were his last words. Don't come up, I'll handle them. And I think it's easy to say that these were words said in a rush. Gandhiji's final words were, "Hey Ram." I think Major Sandeep's last words are the way he saw life. I think he was always thinking about others. In fact, Uncle once said to me, I wish I taught him to be more selfish. So that is why I think when the Hindi version of the film, we have a hashtag called Jaan Doonga Desh Nahi. I'll give my pranam, but I won't give my desh. And the reason we put that is because his entire life, the way he lived, the way he loved, the way he married, the way his friends, the way he was a son, all of it started from him thinking about others first, then about himself. Yeah, I get called thrilling star sometimes, but I try not to follow such labels.
What is Uncle's and Aunt's response when you told them that Revati ma'am and Prakash sir is going to play their character?
It was interesting because Prakash Raj sir actually knows Uncle, and they've met on various occasions. So it's weird. I sat with Uncle for so many months, and I took his experiences, wrote them into dialogues, gave to Prakash sir who knows him, and asked him to play him. So it's a very tricky space, but with all credit to Prakash Raj sir, I think is incredible. I think he took Uncle's maturity, and one similarity between Uncle and Prakash Raj sir is they're both very fiery. So I thought Prakash Raj sir was perfect for that kind of a role, but at the same time, that softness in the eyes, I think by far the best performance in the film belongs to Revati now.
how was your prep for this? How many times did you get tear gassed, and you are like a
You know about that.
Yeah, I know about that. And you are a southpaw, so how did it? When he is a righty, so how did that?
So I'm known
Work.
for my action stuff and being a left-handed guy, kind of shooting a gun sideways and all this nonsense. And when we started analyzing and researching, you have to understand that in India, the elite fighters are the army, and the elite people in the army go into the National Security Guard. And the people who teach the elite people in the National Security Guard how to be elite is the training officer, and Major Sandeep was that. So to go from being a Telugu action hero to becoming someone who looked like I could be a soldier, a super soldier for 15 years is extraordinarily tough. And not to mention, as you said, I'm left-handed. So it started with basics like starting to shoot the gun with my right hand, firing the MP5 weapon. The new MP5s actually have the HD laser, but back then in 2008 you had to do it with your eye. So practicing with that, a lot of military boot camp training, practicing signals, commands, language on the walkie-talkie. Aside from this, the challenge of playing different ages. When you're playing different ages, before the film started I was 84 kgs, went down to 81, 79, 76, 73, then back to 76, then back to 81, then back to 76. Because my director decided, obviously, he's not going to shoot it in order. So between that and COVID, whenever we could get something, we'd shoot. So it was an extraordinarily tough thing. But for me, playing Major Sandeep became sort of simpler at some point in my head, not because of the physical act, but because I started thinking about how he would react in each situation. So whenever I'd have a doubt, I'd call Amma and say, so this is a serious scene, and Major Sandeep will scream like this, and he'll say this. She'll say, no, he'll laugh, he'll smile. So to understand how he would behave became more of my job in this film rather than acting.
And the budget is quite humongous, because you said it's like 8 sets that's to be made, and there are, because these are locations you can never shoot a movie. So how tedious was that job?
Well, I'm glad Mahesh Babu sir produced the movie. And I'm also glad that Sony Pictures was on board. I think we all knew that when it comes to this film, you're telling the story of a man born in Kozhikode, grew up in Bangalore, was a captain in Hyderabad, was a training officer in Haryana, fought in Kargil in Kashmir, and fought in Mumbai. So it's a true all-Indian story, and I'm really thankful that my producers believed that this story required such a huge canvas. This is not a film you can shoot in 30-40 days. It's an extremely big film.
One last question is you're having an opening on June 3rd with and the competitive movie is Vikram. So are you a bit concerned about that, because that's also much awaited movie, and as well as Major? So
Very, very actually. I grew up on Kamal sir's films, and Vasant Kokila is like my all-time favorite. So it's like we were actually supposed to come May 27th, but we got postponed by a week, and it directly started clashing with Vikram. So I'll also be watching Vikram because Lokesh is a friend. But I genuinely believe this film has its own space. I'll tell you why I believe that. For the first time in Indian history, a big Indian film decided to do exclusive premieres by teaming up with Book My Show and show it in 10 different cities 10 days before release. So we showed the film in Pune to an audience. Now the risk with these things is when you show it, he's someone who bought a ticket. So he or she can go on YouTube and say, I like the movie, I don't like the movie. So you're talking about reviews coming out 10 days before you're releasing. So everything that can go wrong will go wrong. There's also the piracy issue. So despite that, we decided that we wanted to do it because we loved this story so much and we really believed in it. So when we showed it in Pune, we got a standing ovation. And not only that, we realized that there was a para special forces commando in a wheelchair who'd come with his family and his wife, who was also a lieutenant colonel in Pune. And he was crying, he had goosebumps on his hand. And he was shaking my hand and he said, you did it for Major Sandeep. And I started crying. and it was a really emotional moment. The same thing happened in Bangalore. The same thing happened in Jaipur. Actually, day before yesterday, now this I've been carrying everywhere. I've been showing it off even on the flight here. Day before yesterday, we showed it to the National Security Guard in Mumbai. Now, some of these guys have worked with Major Sandeep. Some of these guys have the same job that Major Sandeep has. So if any of them doesn't like it, it's a problem. So we were really tense. We showed it to 312 commandos and their families. And as soon as the movie ended, everyone is silent. Bloody hell, why are they silent? Like other places, everyone is cheering. What's going on? Did we do something wrong? Did we show a uniform wrong? Like what's the issue? They said you need to come to the headquarters. There's a convoy waiting. The army wants to take me 11 at night to headquarters. What's going on? So I got in the car. We went to the headquarters, and when I went there, they gave us.
രാജ്യത്തെ നടുക്കിയ മുംബൈ ഭീകരാക്രമണത്തിൽ താജ് ഹോട്ടലിൽ ബന്ദിയാക്കപ്പെട്ടവരെ മോചിപ്പിക്കുന്നതിനിടയിലാണ് SNG കമാൻഡോ ആയ മേജർ സന്ദീപ് ഉണ്ണികൃഷ്ണൻ വീരമൃത്യു വരിച്ചത്. അദ്ദേഹത്തെ രാജ്യം അശോക ചക്ര നൽകി ആദരിച്ചു. വളരെ വൈകാരികമായൊരു കഥാന്തരീക്ഷത്തിലാണ് മേജർ എന്ന സിനിമ ഒരുങ്ങുന്നത്.
This to me is bigger than any Oscar. And I believe that this is Major Sandeep blessing us, so we have a winner.
Thank you. And we are emotionally touched now. And thank you so much for doing a movie on Major Sandeep Unnikrishnan. And we hope that it has really come out great, and that's what the reports are coming in. So we will, great support from Kerala, from all the media out here. So we'll be there on theatres on June 3rd, and we have Major releasing in Malayalam, Hindi and Telugu. So great, thank you Adi. And
guys, thank you for coming despite the rain. So I want to thank each of you personally, and just extend my gratitude. I came here and I'm speaking because this project means a lot to us, and it also means a lot to Major Sandeep's parents. So this is for them. Thank you.